My name is Keji Sojobi. I am an aerospace engineer. I work at Northrop Grumman. Um, so I'll start with my own personal story. I was born into a high achieving, academically minded, yet well rounded Nigerian family. All of my interests, from math and science to music and art, were encouraged from the first moments that those interests were evident. Um, my love of space and the idea of space exploration, taken together with my ever growing aptitude for math and science, guided me to choose to study aerospace engineering in college. And I have worked in the aerospace industry consistently since receiving my degree 15 years ago now. Some technical info about my industry. Aerospace is aerospace. I think a lot of people know what it is that we do. Everything from airplanes to spacecraft. But something I've learned in these 15 years in the industry is that aerospace is responsible for a great deal of society's technological expression, I'll say. I came into the aerospace market wanting to make things that go to space. That was always my motivation. In my career thus far, I have helped design not just things that go to space, but manned and unmanned aerial vehicles, fighter jets, drones. I have designed lasers that go on boats, as well as lasers that go on ground vehicles. I have helped design Earth orbiting imaging telescopes. And my favorite thing that I've ever worked on, I've also gotten to help design a telescope that is now sitting 1 million miles away from us and returning the most beautiful images. That telescope is called the James Webb Space Telescope. So aerospace touches so much of what we see and get into here on planet Earth. As far as challenges that I've faced in my industry, there have definitely been many technical challenges. What I would like to focus on in this talk today are the internal challenges, the specific internal challenges that I've come across in my career as an aerospace engineer. Being one of often just a few women, if not the only woman, and generally being the only Black person in my professional environments has always made for a lonely experience. Not acknowledging that fact early in my career and trying to push through the subconscious anxiety with perfectionism as my main tool brought a long-term anxiety and imposter syndrome that really ultimately got in the way of my technical growth and just made my career difficult at times when I think it didn't need to be. What I mean in a nutshell is I never talked about being the only Black woman on my teams, but I was aware of it. People say the body keeps the score. I certainly felt it in my body, even if I didn't necessarily put words to it. And I was constantly terrified of doing a bad job at work, lest I be called out as evidence of why Black women don't belong in my position. I let this fear keep me from confidently saying, I don't know, and asking questions. And of course, that stunted my technical growth and just kept me lonely. Being lonely kept me anxious. And I felt like I didn't belong. And it was this negative feedback loop. What I want to make clear today to everyone listening is this. If you have the interest, you belong, period. I'm grateful to have had mentors recently who modeled for me the truth that being a good engineer is not always having the right answers, but rather always being curious and asking questions to get you to right answers. Through this revelation, through the experience of these mentors that I've worked with, I remembered my young self and her awe watching space shuttle launches or looking for star constellations and other planets in the night sky. Basically, I remembered that I chose aerospace because I not only had the interest, but I loved it. I was curious about it. And that was enough for me to belong in the industry. I didn't need to be perfect or the one who always had the right answers. I realized that all I needed was to stay curious and joyful and let that curiosity and joy at what I was doing carry me through this dream job, ultimately, that I had. So that brings me to some advice that I would like to give. The fear that I've dealt with in my career unfortunately made it all too easy at times for me to sit back and accept the idea that maybe I just didn't have what it takes to work on some cool project I was interested in. Maybe I could someday, but not yet. This mindset lasted a long time and caused me to take sort of a passive approach to my career, staying on the same projects for longer than probably I should have, and then being moved around to other things at the will of other people. As I have reawakened in recent years to my first love of space exploration and fully embraced this out loud curiosity that I've been talking about, and the fact that I do belong because of that curiosity, I've learned that I absolutely must be my number one advocate in my career. Passivity was no longer going to get me, well, I mean, it never did actually get me to the space dreams of my preschool self. In a large company like the one that I work for, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle and then to get shuffled around at the whims of the convenience of a larger program. But, and I say this as much, if not more, to myself as to you, if you know where you want to go, be loud about it. Wherever you are in the moment, be a team player, of course, and do your work well. But always be actively choosing for yourself what your goals are and where you need to be en route to those goals. Be your number one advocate. Don't be afraid to talk to people who can help you get to where you want to go. Never forget that wherever you want to go, you belong there, just by virtue of the fact that you want to be there. So I suppose that's all I have for you right now. Thank you so much for having me. Best of luck to all of you. Keep dreaming and stay curious.